Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the Algebra 1 concept of difference of squares. This is standard A.10F in the great state of Texas. We are using item number 47, which is a new item type called drag and drop, of the 2024 released STAAR test. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we have a drag and drop here. So you notice that we can use each answer more than once. So you could have the exact same factor for both of these that we're looking for. So that's a possibility. And it is a 2-point problem. So if we try to move on without selecting both answers, we're going to get that warning message. So let's go ahead and see what we have here. Now we're trying to factor this expression, and we see it's 4x squared minus 81. Now, one thing that we should always keep in mind of is whenever we're factoring any type of binomial like this, is we're looking to see, is it a perfect square? Because they're not always going to give you any type of signal. You just have to be able to recognize it. But let's see, because that is actually on our reference materials here, right? And we see it right at that very, very top, right? We see the factoring, and we see the two options there, right? We've got, and I'll write them down, we've got the perfect square trinomials, right? And then we've got the difference of squares. And really what I'm looking at is they're giving us the difference of squares. So that says a squared minus b squared equals a minus b, and then a plus b. So they're going to give it to us in that form. Now, how is that helpful? Well, we need to be able to recognize that this 4x squared is sitting in that a squared position. And then we've got a minus, which we need that, the difference of squares, and then we need that's 81 sitting in that. So what we need to do is we need to solve both of those for an a and a b, because then once we have a and a b, we're good right here. So let's just set each of those terms equal to each other. So a squared equals 4x squared. I want to solve for a, right? And so we are going to have a square root here, and we have a square root here. Now, what we can do is we can actually separate that out. Watch this, right? The square root of a squared is going to be a, and then what we're going to end up getting here is we're going to get a square root of 4, right? And then we're going to get multiplied by a square root of x, okay? Now, we x squared, and so this a is going to be, we've got square root of 4 is simply going to be, right, that plus or minus 2. And then the square root of x squared is simply going to be x. All right, so we know what a equals. Now let's look at our b. Our b is going to be b squared equals 81. How do I solve for b? Right, we want to go ahead and just take the square root of both. So that's b going to equal, and then I've got that plus or minus 9. All right, so what do we have here? Well, we are going to take a look at the positives, okay? And so take a look at this. My a is going to be this 2x. So I'm going to rewrite this for a little bit more room. A plus b. All right, so what happens if I put my 2x in each of those positions? Okay, and we're noticing that we've got those. We don't have any negative 2x's. And then what do we have here? We've got our 9. But on this one, right, we don't necessarily want a leading coefficient to be negative with the x, right? We want it to be positive, but let's look at that b is a positive 9 and a negative 9. Obviously, we can flip those if we want to, but we've got those two, and if we want to, right, we can FOIL them out. That's going to be a plus 18x minus 18x, and that's going to be a minus 81, so we're good. So that's going to be our answer, the 2x minus 9 and the 2x plus 9 in any order.